Bruce Norman. I reside at 1623 Logan Avenue Northwest, Canton, Ohio. As I mentioned last week, in our comments to the sheriff, I said, if he does a good job, we're going to put a star in his forehead, and if he doesn't, he'll hear from us. Commissioner Regula said, how about us? So, I
don't have.
Yeah, I mean, to pick up Commissioner Creighton from where you are, in my kindergarten cutout style, this says thank you from Scott Canese, who can't be here because of a severe earache, Bruce Brewer, who is here, Pete Tamacchio, whose son is now playing in a hockey school, Brett Moore, who's here, and of course myself, Bruce Nordman. I'd like to present you with our inaugural Canton Citizens Award.
Well, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Almost like a hat.
You can put this up with your children and grandchildren's kindergarten art, and it'll definitely take second place. But we really appreciate what you did in terms of coming to our support in a very important issue. Bruce came down here right off the job, and so he's telling you that it's real important. He didn't go home to get dressed in his best tuxedo. The important thing is that we're here, and we appreciate everything that you've done. But as I told the City Council, we were pursuing the bed strength. I went before, and Bruce and Brett went before the City Council on Monday to tell them what a fine job you're doing in terms of supporting the crime issue, specifically with an increase in the budget, going from 11 to 12 and from 12 to 13. Mainly because we want to lay that carpet on the table in terms of the support that we're getting from the Commission. And we're looking for a ditto from the City Council. After consulting with several officials, talking now about Canton, about police strength, we recommended at the City Council meeting that the police force, although we appreciate that we're going up to 14, but it actually comes out to be about 6 or 7 by the time we get retirements out of it, of the police force going from 141 to 150, we proposed that they look to realign portions of the budget where they could to bring the police staffing to 175 policemen on the street. And we had some commentary on it, some favorable, but the gauntlet is down. We intend to pursue this aggressively to help you with this piece of the puzzle over here called the City of Canton, to do our utmost to get that strength up to 175 people, police officers, uniform officers, to get the streets safe, and anything that you can do to assist us in that effort, guidance, what have you, we would sure appreciate, and we would sure appreciate that from anybody in this room. We're going down next Monday to the City Council meeting. That is already an issue. We've already had some discussion with some of the City Councilmen, and I'll just leave that as it is, but I'll bring you up to date as to the reaction and what they're going to do to assist in this issue. And I impressed upon them the very, very cordial support that we got from the commissioners. And that is the umbrella under which we are looking to do business with the city of Canton. And one other thing, after the meeting, I had a separate meeting with the sheriff and with my involvement with the American Legion as well as the AMVETS. I offered support, and I'm walking through the wilderness on this, to help him recruit returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan who would make ideal candidates to be the sheriff. And he absolutely agreed. You probably saw that he's going to produce a flyer. So I said, I don't know where we're going to go with this, but if you tap me on the shoulder, I'll find a way to get you in front of those people to assist in the hiring of these people who need work and already have the first credentials to get in that area. So within that two areas, I just wanted to bring you up to date. I will keep you posted as to what's going on with the City Council, and working together, the Stark County Commissioners, the council people from the City of Canton, and with us running the football, we're going to look to get a touchdown in this effort, and I sincerely thank you. And with that, I'm going to sit back and see if anybody's going to water your flower before the end of the meeting. I hope not.
I hope not. I know what you're suggesting.
You know, I have to create trouble somewhere in a meeting that I'm at, so just said in jest. Thank you so much. On behalf of all of us, we're very grateful, and we want to work in the behalf of the county and the city. And if there's things that we can do to assist you, tap us on the shoulder. We think we got a great opportunity in this county and in the city. This should be the rebirth of this area, and this should be the shining jewel in the state of Ohio with all the natural resources that we've got here. And just as a PS, there was an abandoned house 2 doors down from me. Someone bought it. They're reconditioning it with the thought that it's going to be rented to supervisors from Chesapeake Oil. And believe you me, the supervisors from Chesapeake Oil are not little pansies. So within the fact of that being rented to those kinds of individuals, that also adds to the safety of the neighborhood. One of the ingredients in our proposal, when Randy Gonzalez was here last week, I'm just going to pass this back to you, and we're grateful for you sharing this information. And this was one of the ingredients in terms of reducing the arrests as it goes along with the strength of the police force. And that was one of the real cogs that allowed us to solidify, along with other input that allowed us to get at that 175 figure.
These are very, very telling numbers.
Yeah, they sure are. And we passed that out, and we're going to continue to hammer on it. And again, thank you. We sure appreciate your support.
And Bruce, anything?
No, I don't.
I just want to make one other note. You should be talking to Congressman Gibbs also, because he actually has the city.
Beg your pardon?
And an address.
I don't have a dress with me. No, I'm sorry.
Flower.
1511 Harvard Avenue Northwest in Canton. We were at City Council, as Mr. Nordman said. We were told by, in the end, Alan Schulman, that he had hoped that we had brought a proposal to him as to how we could get the money to put these police back on the streets. And I understand there's been lots of money taken away from the city of Canton. Bruce Brewer is, I called yesterday to Renese's office. They said in order to get a meeting with him, it had to come by letter form. Bruce Brewer is taking care of that. We want to try and get in and talk to him. If it's possible, if somebody could prepare so that we don't look so ignorant when we go there, what exactly has happened or can happen to bring money back this way to Canton. Like I say, we don't have to have it today, but if somebody could bring us up to snuff a little bit on some things that we can raise, some issues that we could raise, that would be greatly appreciated.
I think probably when you speak about Canton, only because cities and counties are structured differently and they receive different sources of funding and in different amounts. I think when you talk about getting, funding back to Canton, I think you also need to talk primarily to Canton officials to help you with that.
I am going to do that.
But as a general concept, one of the areas that Canton has lost and all of Stark County has lost, all political subdivisions, and there are 37 of them in Stark County. There are 17 townships and I don't know, six cities, 11 villages and so forth, and the Parks Division is actually a subdivision. So there's 37 of them. We all receive, one source of funding is what we call local government funding. And that came from the state of Ohio, and that was a share of a variety of revenues. And we've been receiving those probably for what, 20, 25, 30 years maybe. As recently probably as 5 to 7 years ago, and Alex, you're familiar with this, all of Stark County, we divide these funds up, but all of Stark County was receiving probably about $19 million. I think it went down to about $15 million in about 2010. Last year, it was $11.3 million, so you can see how it's going down. And this year, I think we anticipate it's going to be $8.5 million, and that's for all subdivisions. So a lot of funding has been lost. The two largest losers in that loss of funding is Stark County government, because we essentially get almost a third of that generally, correct? And the city of Canton gets about a third of it by virtue of its size and being an urban entity and so forth and other valuation factors. So, we've lost that area. That's part of the state budget. That again, we've all been asking our representatives and so forth to fight for that, but that has been part of the state budget. What they are trying to balance their budget, and they're balancing it in part with regard to local government funds. So that's a significant amount of money that we've lost. In other areas, I think, in the course of years, Canton and these cities have had funding from the federal government that have helped with police and fire, grant programs and other one and 2 year funding programs and so forth. Those, again, because of the national, budget issue, which is on the front burner every day, have gone by the wayside. We just had this morning, we had our annual public hearing on our community development block grant funds. By the way, once upon a time, I think those funds were available for police, I think, at some point in time. I think maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I think that they were. But again, those funds, I think, were cut 23% 2 years ago, another 8% this year. They may be cut more because of the sequester. So all of these sources of funds, particularly from the federal side, are drying up. They're they're becoming tighter at the state level. So as everybody's budget tightens up, I mean, these funds are just simply drying up. So what has to be done locally is you just have to reprioritize the monies that you have and try to operate as efficiently and effectively as you can. It's a tough battle to get more funding. And I think that you can see, we talked to our congressman, for example, just on the drainage issue. You've heard about the zipper ditch issues. We've met with our congressman, and again, he's trying to help us to look for funds, but again, funds on those kinds of projects and other projects are just really, really difficult to get.
Yeah. My only suggestion would be, before I would meet with Congressman Renacci, because I really don't know that there is a whole lot he can do, I would first meet with Gary Young. Gary Young works for the city auditor, and Gary Young knows every source of revenue probably over the last 15 years, could give you that insight, because you don't want to go to a congressman without having something that you're specifically asking. And I'm not trying to rain on the parade, but I would say that you're probably fighting an uphill battle there. You might want to expend some energies in speaking with our local legislators. Olslager, Schering, Slesnik, Hagen. You might want to spend some time chatting with them to talk about how the state of Ohio can maybe funnel some money. But Tom's right, we have gotten money in the past in the city. I'm most familiar with the fire safety grants that they have gotten. I'm not remembering a whole lot of police grants, but I'm sure that they're out there. But do a little homework before you go into the congressman or to the legislators, so you can be really specific with them. But Gary's your key.
You know, you're where we started as far as our homework goes, and appreciate all
Sure.
your input. And if you could jot down a few
Sure.
of those names for us, really
Glad to.
appreciate it.
No, I just want to say, I think with the budget that we're going to pass today, our commitment is to the taxpayers of Stark County, and it was for criminal justice. And with the restoring of the funding for the jail and for the prosecutor and for the courts and for multi-county, we're meeting our commitment. Did we have some bumps in the road in getting the ramp completely back up? Yes, we did, but that wasn't because of our lack of efforts, and I commend my fellow board members and I commend for what you do. It's important to get out there and let the public know that here's what we feel, because you're the taxpayers, and we're gonna spend your money accordingly.
Yeah, I think a squeaky wheel gets the grease, and, you know, we're gonna try and squeak all we can.
You know, just one other thing too, I just want to go back to the staffing for a moment. You know, that's not an easy hurdle either for the city, because unless they already have a standing civil service test and those people that are qualified, they're going to have to start this process all over again. And gentlemen, it doesn't happen overnight. It is a process, because they do the physical test, they do the written test, they do the I still think they do interviews. You know, it's a long process, so I'm happy to even hear that they can go from 141 to 150. That tells me they must have a list, and they must be qualified and ready to go. But to jump to another 25, good luck.